Have you ever noticed how the kindest people often seem to be the ones who struggle most with claiming their power in the world? It's one of life's curious paradoxes. There's a profound warning hidden in Nietzsche's philosophy that speaks directly to this struggle, one that might make you question everything you've been taught about goodness and power. What if the very virtues you cherish are secretly keeping you small? By the end of our journey together, you'll see the invisible chains you might have placed on yourself and discover a path to authentic power that doesn't sacrifice your goodness. Imagine standing at the edge of a vast, unexplored territory within yourself. That wilderness contains your fullest expression, parts both gentle and fierce, creating and destroying. Nietzsche observed something troubling in modern society. Our moral systems often train us to reject half of our nature. He called this the slave morality, a value system that emerges from powerlessness. This isn't merely philosophical speculation. You might recognize it in yourself when you habitually defer your needs, avoid conflict, or diminish your achievements through excessive modesty. The noble soul has reverence for itself, Nietzsche wrote. Yet how many of us were taught that self-assertion equals selfishness? That ambition is something to be suspicious of? Consider how differently we judge these qualities in ourselves versus in others. You likely admire confident leadership in someone else while feeling guilty for wanting recognition yourself. The problem runs deeper than conscious choices. These patterns become embedded in our unconscious, what Jung would later call our shadow, the disowned aspects of ourselves. When we reject our capacity for healthy power, it doesn't disappear. It goes underground, emerging in distorted ways, passive aggression, manipulation, or self-sabotage. Have you noticed this pattern in your own life? The moments you smile and say, "It's fine," when it isn't? Or when you diminish your achievements to appear humble? These small surrenders might seem insignificant. Yet over time, they shape your relationship with power itself. You come to identify powerlessness with moral goodness. Let's pause for a moment. Close your eyes if you can. Recall a recent situation where you held yourself back from expressing your full truth or power. What beliefs were operating beneath the surface? What did you fear might happen if you fully showed up? What part of yourself were you protecting by remaining small? This conditioning begins early. Think of how children are often rewarded for compliance, for not making waves, for putting others first regardless of personal cost. Philosopher Martha Nussbaum notes this socialization particularly affects those raised as girls, who learn to make themselves smaller, less threatening, more accommodating. The consequences ripple through our adult lives. We become hypervigilant about others' needs while remaining disconnected from our own power and desires. This creates what psychologist Robert Firestone calls the divided self, a split between our authentic nature and the adapted personality we've created to survive. Look around at the people you admire most. Do they apologize for their existence? Do they diminish themselves to make others comfortable? Or do they stand firmly in their truth? True goodness doesn't require powerlessness. In fact, the most transformative kindness comes from a place of wholeness and strength, not from fragmentation and fear. What if you've been operating with a fundamental misunderstanding of what power actually is? What if authentic power isn't about domination but about alignment with your deepest truth? Nietzsche saw this clearly. His concept of will to power isn't about controlling others. It's about self-mastery, creativity, and the courage to live according to your own values. Let's explore what keeps this pattern in place. What invisible forces might be perpetuating your reluctance to claim your full power? First, there's the deep fear of rejection. As social creatures, we're wired to preserve connection. Standing in your power means risking disapproval from those who benefit from your compliance. Have you noticed how quickly guilt arises when you prioritize your needs? That emotional response wasn't born with you. It was installed through countless interactions. Then there's the fear of your own capacity. Marianne Williamson captured this perfectly. Our deepest fear is not that we are inadequate. Our deepest fear is that we are powerful beyond measure. Power requires responsibility. When you're powerful, you can no longer blame others for your circumstances. You must face the terrifying freedom of creating your own life. There's also the unconscious comfort of moral superiority. By remaining powerless but good, you get to occupy the moral high ground without the risks of authentic engagement. This is what Nietzsche called ressentiment, a psychological state where one redefines weakness as goodness and strength as evil to cope with one's own lack of power. Consider how often the powerless judge the powerful. There's a strange comfort in believing that success requires moral compromise. It absolves us from the responsibility of our untapped potential. The social systems around us reinforce these patterns. Those who benefit from the status quo have always encouraged the virtues that keep people compliant: excessive humility, self-sacrifice, unquestioning acceptance. Pause again. Think about the messages you received about power growing up. Were you taught that power corrupts? That ambition is unseemly? That putting yourself first is selfish? These messages become the water we swim in, so pervasive we barely notice them. Yet they shape our every decision, our sense of possibility, our relationship with our own greatness. The cost is immense, not just to you, but to the world. When good people remain powerless, who ends up wielding influence? Often those with fewer moral qualms about claiming it. Jung understood this dynamic profoundly. He saw that when we don't integrate our shadow, including our healthy aggression and power, it doesn't disappear. It takes control. Now let's discover how to reclaim your power without sacrificing your goodness. This isn't about becoming someone you're not. It's about becoming all of who you are. Start by questioning the false dichotomy. Power and goodness aren't opposites. The most transformative figures throughout history embodied both. Think of Nelson Mandela's fierce compassion or Mother Teresa's uncompromising commitment. Consider redefining power itself. True power isn't about controlling others. It's about sovereignty over yourself, the ability to act with integrity regardless of external approval. This requires shadow work, facing the disowned parts of yourself. Carl Jung noted that, until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life, and you will call it fate. Begin by noticing where you feel resentment. Resentment is often a sign that you've abandoned your boundaries, your needs, your truth. It points to where your power has been compromised. Practice speaking truth in small ways first. Notice the urge to automatically say yes when you mean no. Feel the discomfort and choose differently. Embodiment is crucial in this work. Power isn't just intellectual, it lives in your body. Notice how you physically contract to appear less threatening, to take up less space. Try this practice. Stand with your feet firmly planted, shoulders back, breathing deeply. Feel the ground supporting you. This isn't aggressive posturing. It's claiming your right to exist fully. Surround yourself with models of integrated power. Find examples of people who are both powerful and good, who don't diminish themselves yet remain connected to others. Remember that reclaiming your power serves everyone. As artist Audre Lorde said, "When I dare to be powerful, to use my strength in the service of my vision, it becomes less important whether I am afraid." Your power, fully expressed, becomes your gift to the world. Think of how many problems remain unsolved because good people doubt their right to lead, to create, to transform. Start noticing the subtle ways you've been conditioned to associate power with moral compromise. Challenge this association whenever it arises in your thoughts. Philosopher Michel Foucault helps us understand that power isn't simply something some have and others don't. It flows through relationships, systems, and beliefs. You can change how it operates in your life. Ask yourself, what would it look like to be both powerful and good in my particular life? What unique expression might that take for me? The journey of integrating power with goodness isn't easy. You'll face resistance, both internal and external. Those accustomed to your compliance may push back when you stand taller. But remember, your reluctance to embrace power doesn't actually serve others. It merely preserves a system where power remains concentrated in fewer hands. What one small step could you take today towards standing in your authentic power? Perhaps it's expressing an unpopular opinion, setting a boundary, or simply taking up more space. As we close our exploration, remember that this journey isn't about becoming someone new. It's about remembering who you've always been beneath the conditioning. You were born with both the capacity for goodness and the capacity for power. You don't need to choose between them. Their integration is your birthright. Nietzsche's warning wasn't that power corrupts. It was that rejecting power corrupts, creating resentment, passive aggression, and a divided self. The world doesn't need more people who make themselves small in order to be good. It needs those courageous enough to embody power with integrity, wisdom, and compassion. Today, I invite you to notice one way you might be equating powerlessness with goodness. Question that association. Feel into what true, integrated power might be asking of you. Your journey toward wholeness isn't just for you. When good people reclaim their power, they create space for a new kind of leadership, one that serves life rather than diminishes it. Take a deep breath. Feel the potential stirring within you. Your power awaits, not as something to fear, but as the most natural expression of who you truly are.